The fourth area that we are working on, we can possibly call full and just participation. And this works towards issues of indigenous people, of racism, of young people, of people living with disabilities. This is a particularly hard question because I think it speaks to the question of faith and what it is we do. We see that a covenant is a question of a relationship. And we believe that the divine, it's God, humans with each other, and the planet are in a relationship and should be living in just relationships. But human action has resulted in these relationships becoming broken with humans and God, humans and between themselves on so many lines, the lines of gender, the lines of race, the lines of nationality, and of course humans and the planet.
In this moment, particularly so important for the work of the WCRC in a global context, racism has been named a pandemic. And I would name with that all forms of discrimination, that they are at pandemic proportions, that it's not just about people's experience, but it's about the ways in which it diminishes people's dignity, their human rights, and their ability to live with dignity and respect. That, I think, coupled with a myriad of other issues. So we would name with that the intersectionalities that impact with race. So we're talking about things like poverty, which is major, economic issues, economic challenges, hunger, the challenges that we're seeing for poorer countries, even as we talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, issues around vaccine access, that those also begin to fall into, I think, some of the challenges with racism. This is historic. This is not new. You couple that with the rise of authoritarianism and nationalism, and that further fuels, I think, a different dynamic for this reality. The death of George Floyd in 2020, I think, was a very defining moment globally, not just in the United States. It was inspiring for so many who took to the streets in the midst of lockdown and the silence and all of that to really speak to what it meant for the world to see this man killed so publicly in this way that disregarded his life. And later, I think everyone realized that, yes, this was racially motivated. So what does it mean for us, I think, in the church to speak out about the racism, the nationalism and authoritarianism, which is couched in spiritual language, Christian language with that as well, but it's cross-cutting across so many other religious contexts that continue to fuel with that kind of language a division, and in a way that also diminishes, but uses the name of the divine as a sword that I think is problematic in a multiplicity of ways. What are the changes that need to be made by governments in order to have the sustainable development that is needed by everyone so that all, I believe, can be successful, achieve, and again, live with human rights and dignity, which is important.